Well, answer the question now. Is she or isn't she?
Is she or isn't she what?
A phony.
I don't know. I don't think so.
You don't think so, huh? Well, you're wrong. She is.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you being here. I actually wasn't planning on posting a video today just because I haven't had much time lately with a sick kid and whatnot, but there's so much going on Twitter. And if you're not on Twitter, but you follow people like TheQuartering, Brittany Venti, Chrissie Mayr, Nick Ricada, most of the LawTube people are talking about this situation unfolding on Twitter, and it's really concerning. It started with Brittany Venti posting a question to Eliza Blue, who's made a name for herself as an advocate for human trafficking survivors. And I've only been able to find information about her being a figure in the space as an advocate for the last 5 years. Maybe it's 2017 she started popping up. But her story is a little convoluted, and people that are asking questions about it are getting yeeted from Twitter. Brittany Venti asked the question. She posted screenshots of a publicly available rap video, which Eliza starred in some skimpy clothes, and posed the questions, and Eliza didn't like that. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Eliza and Elon Musk have developed a tight relationship, it seems. When he purchased Twitter, she seemed to be a prominent voice in the spaces, in the discussions there. But I did a little more digging. Everyone's doing digging right now. It's that Streisand effect. Nobody knew anything about Eliza Blue until they start looking, and they only start looking because she's avoiding questions. And if you're an honest person, and trauma aside, it's not something that you would lash out at people over if you're genuine. So is she a phony or a real phony? She also created, according to her in her interviews, an organization called Humanity House, which is supposed to be a haven for victims of sex trafficking, human trafficking. She's also been, in relation to her spaces on Twitter and what she talks about and what she's advocating for, it's all things that anybody could get behind. Removing certain types of porn, if we can't get rid of all porn off of Twitter, those that exploit people, especially the younger people, children. So totally behind that. I followed her just because she was recommended. I'm still a fairly new user to Twitter, just being in here for about a year or so. But totally fine. Nothing to look into as far as I was concerned. You take her word for things and you just go about your day. But in light of the Me Too movement and how that came kind of crashing down with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp in the public eye and everything being exposed there, you can't always believe women. I'm one of them. I don't believe all women. I don't believe all of anybody. You have to have the evidence to back things up, or what's there to believe? There's nothing there. As a friend, you always want to believe your friends when they tell you something in confidence, something traumatizing happened to them. You want to believe them. But as far as being in the public, accusing people, you have to have more than just your word. Megan Fox's book, Believe Evidence, and it talks about the historical women and down to biblical times that had lied and ended up causing the death of men that didn't deserve it. So something to be said for not believing all of anybody. But I was doing some digging after I had found out about Humanity House. It reminds me of the Human Fund.
There's no such thing as the Human Fund.
Well, there could be.
So Star Wars Girl has been on top of it. I anticipate she's going to get removed from the platform any day now. So again, originally Brittany was banned off of YouTube for asking the question, sharing publicly available images, saying that they were flagged for intimate photos that are posted without someone's permission, violation of policy. Okay, TheQuartering covers it and says this is publicly available content. This isn't a violation of any terms of service. He gets terminated. Well, not terminated. He gets banned. And then YellowFlash guy, he's also reposting the same tweets. And now he's gone. And today they got Camelot. So what's funny about the Camelot violation that they show here is we've determined this account violated the Twitter rules, specifically for violating one of our rules. Super ambiguous, not very helpful at all, but seeing what's happening to everyone else, it's for the tweet. Now, I was wondering about the history between Elon and Eliza and how they're connected. And I was thinking, since that whole Me Too movement started 2015, 2016, I wasn't really keeping a pulse on it at the time. I was busy with life. That was around the time that Elon started dating Amber. Didn't actually get together until 2017, at the end of 2016. And they broke up 4 months later. But I was thinking, if Eliza is telling stories, and there's a lot of conflicting information, her past is very vague. The way she talks about it, she gets defensive. If she is being genuine, if we're just supposed to believe her, and she was trafficked for 15 years, one article says, another says 9 years. Speaking of inconsistencies, we don't know how old she is. There's websites claiming that she's 35. There's another one saying she should be 42. So things don't add up all over the place. And how can you get angry at people for asking questions unless there's something to hide? So around the time that Amber was speaking at Me Too events, it seems like Eliza started sprouting up, becoming more vocal, sharing vague stories about her past, no evidence to support it from what I can tell or what other people are looking into. Chrissie Mayr is doing an excellent job covering it. She's doing deep dives, trying to find Humanity House, trying to find any corporations that match, and she hasn't been able to come up with anything. She also had Faran Balanced on her show, and Faran's going to be putting out a documentary on Eliza. So stay tuned for that one. But it's just interesting how, while this was happening, it makes me think that Eliza got the idea of, I can get in that space. I can tell stories, true or not. I can tell stories, become a prominent figure in this movement. There's a lot of people taking advantage of movements like this that are supposed to be intended to help victims, help survivors, but it just gets twisted up into something evil. This article came out in 2021, Teslarati, and here's where I found it, what I found interesting. Her story has changed from interview to interview. She went to a Warped Tour that was happening around 2005. After meeting a photographer, she was supposedly sold, or allegedly sold, to another man in Los Angeles for $500. And this article says she was sex trafficked for 9 years before gaining the courage to attempt an escape. A little vague about how she got from the attempted escape. I don't know if that's a real escape or just an attempt, but now she's a survivor advocate and a voice for those who don't have one. And it goes on how she was working the Tesla grift and at the end of 2020, getting the logo in her hair. She came across Tesla and Elon Musk a few years ago. So end of 2020, a few years ago, would be about 2017. I think she was scoping him out and seeing how she can get in. She's publicly said that she was wanting to be famous. There's sound bites, video clips all over the place. And this angle was to end online exploitation within a company with cutting-edge AI capabilities. AI can save people from being trafficked, has moved predominantly to a digital platform, and tech space needs to get involved in the fight. Sure things, totally fine. But she added here, I think about Elon a lot, because my mission to me is the equivalent of getting to Mars. It seems impossible, and I know the odds aren't in my favor, but I think it's important. I think it's worth fighting for. And so she was speaking at a Tesla rally in Atlanta, raising money for fighting human trafficking. She always claims she's traveling on her own dime, but from what I've heard on other channels that do go to speaking engagements, those are always covered by whoever's hosting the event. So it's just a little questionable. I think I like Elon, but I don't like what's happening with the platform right now because of how many people are getting taken down because they say something that this woman doesn't like, this person doesn't want to address. And I just think it's all been planned. I think she's been working on this. She got in, and now that she's one of the predominant figures on Twitter because of her connection to Elon, it's a little sus. But that umbrella guy also says, people keep saying the same thing about Eliza Blue they told me about Amber Heard. You can't ask questions, listen, believe. Yeah, it's not really questions they fear, it's you finding your own answers. Well, she stepped on it. She stepped on herself here because nobody was going to be looking too hard, not this many people anyway, until the banning, until the outrage from the fans of content creators that have been not deplatformed, but removed from Twitter, the platform, for what they said, and sometimes not even giving a reason why. So free speech seems to be under attack in some people's minds. I agree. And everyone who's speaking out about it, I'm just waiting for them to be canceled as well. Andy No did post about it yesterday, TheQuartering being locked out after tweeting a screenshot of an activist from an old music video. The other thing that was interesting is that free Brittany Venti, free TheQuartering, hashtag free Brittany Venti, hashtag free TheQuartering has made it to trending over the last few days, but Eliza Blue has not. So there's some shenanigans going on behind the scenes, and it's just causing more people to look into it, finding more questionable activity, and it's getting really weird out there. So in my searches, I also found Katie Herzog. Apparently she is the host of the podcast Blocked and Reported. She had an interview with Eliza, and Eliza tweeted about it. She knows she's lying because Katie posts the receipts, and it's brief, but it's amazing how quickly she is to get so angry and nasty. So let's take a listen. They got rid of it. Literally, it was there an hour ago. Let's see. Oh boy. That's interesting. Let's see if it works now. Maybe it just needed to read. Bruh. They are scrubbing this in real time. Okay, so it still exists on SoundCloud, but Twitter is refusing to play it. So that's fun. So I'm going to play it now. The volume is a little loud on the audio. So it's 2 minutes long.
I don't know if I mean, for me to tell my story at length is going to take a while.
I don't even need that.
Answer questions about my story is going to take a while.
So I know the basics of your story because I've listened to your podcast.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what the question is.
Well, I can ask you the questions.
I didn't agree to this. All I agreed to was answering a few questions about Twitter.
Well, okay, sure. That's totally fine. But can I ask you the questions or email you the questions and you can decide if you want to answer or not?
I mean, did you ask Amanda in advance to do that?
No, I told her that I wanted to ask you about the Twitter stuff and about your own story.
Okay, so you deceived Amanda, didn't tell her everything you wanted to ask
No,
me, and then you got a survivor on the phone and started asking her about her personal trauma.
No, that's not what happened. I said.
Okay, I think we're probably going to be done here. Please, just next time you want to speak to a survivor about their trauma and bring up their own past.
I literally asked her. I'm going to read you. I'm going to read you. I'll read you the message that I sent her.
Please be honest in advance,
I won't.
Because there are times when I feel cool about talking about it, and there's other times when I don't.
I'll read you the message that I sent it to her. You're not listening to me.
I was totally comfortable talking about Twitter. If you were going to ask me about my own traumatizing story, I would have appreciated a little bit of a heads up. And you know what? I think you're a cool person. I always have. And I know you're cool with Tim Dillon, and I would have appreciated a little bit more respect just off.
You're not listening to me. Here's what I said to her. I said I'm interested in the Twitter changes as well as her history as a survivor. That is what I told her.
Okay, then I'm going to speak to her about that, because then she messed up and didn't tell me what's up.
Okay, well,
so I apologize for blooping out on you. She should have told me that. I'm going to go get her ass. So
can I ask you the questions?
I'm not cool with it. It's been a long few days, and honestly, I don't feel like rehashing my whole own trauma on the phone with somebody I don't know.
Look.
Good grief. So then she tried calling her out on Twitter that she was basically ambushed with questions about her past, and that was her receipts. This is amazing. This is so amazing. So Nate the lawyer also tweeted out, he's anticipating his account's going to get locked out because things are starting adding up. What was interesting about that other situation here with Katie is that this was happening in December. I'm sure it was happening before, but it wasn't getting widespread attention. Eliza picked a fight with the wrong group of people because they have such a large, obsessively faithful fan base, and they get loud. So this was a bad move by her, and it's interesting. I'm just rabbit hole after rabbit hole of what the heck is going on with this lady. And Chrissie did a video where she added snips of the interview with Michael Malice, and then in another one she has I'm not sure who the host is, this woman, but basically she's saying she's an ex-prostitute, and we'll take a look at it. But Michael Malice interview, she says she was human trafficked on Instagram or on Twitter. See what you think.
Knowledge that my former abusers made to traffic me on Twitter. I didn't realize because I kind of just signed up for Twitter in late 2019. So it was like one of the last few days of 2019 I signed up.
My apologies. This is the video where she says she didn't sign up for Twitter until 2019. And Chrissie's like, why lie about this?
And you can always add me on facebook.com/ElizaSite, twitter.com/ElizaSite. I was trafficked on Twitter as well.
Yeah, so in another interview clip with Michael Malice, she talks about getting trafficked by people using her photos and then them redirecting people to her Instagram page. It's the weirdest thing. But to close it out, let's take a look at this one. As far as definition, words matter. So
you stood out and said, I'm a survivor of human trafficking before it was a pop culture topic. So I appreciate you laying that groundwork for me and all the folks that worked in the movement to lay that groundwork, so to be there when survivors like myself reach out.
I wanted to say something first, that you said that I'm a survivor of human trafficking. I did say that, but not till later. What I first said was, I'm an ex-prostitute and I had a pimp, and everyone's like, and it's your fault.
But we didn't happen. But Annie, we didn't have the language to put to it. We didn't have the language to put to it back then.
So is she admitting that it was just prostitution, or that she had a pimp, that it was different? I mean, I can see where people get trafficked for sex work all the time, but the way she says this, it's just bizarre.
And I mean, this wasn't this wasn't a conversation the way that it is now.
I'm an ex-prostitute.
We did not have the language to put to it then, and I feel like what you said was perfect at the time for what it was. And to be brutally honest, depending on the folks that I'm talking to, I will navigate and say pimp, trafficker. It just depends.
Going on around.
And also, survival sex is not considered human trafficking.
What's survival sex?
Survival sex is that gray area between, let's talk about something funner after this. This is not my most fun.
She does this all the time. People ask her specific questions, or she says something and then somebody wants her to expound on it. She just totally tries to change course, shift topics.
Hold on,
you know what I mean? Let's kick it up a notch. No, we can talk about survival sex. I don't care about that. Listen, this is like water off a duck's back. I'm just tired of it, man. It's been a long week. We had the election this week. Let's talk about anything else. No, I'm just saying. So survival sex would be if you need something like housing, drugs, medicine, food. You're selling sex to survive, but you don't necessarily have a pimp or a trafficker. Survival sex is not considered human trafficking.
And there were moments where I could have chosen to handle things differently and I didn't. So, although bad things happen to me, I am also capable of doing really horrible things.
So what do you think about the Elon situation with Eliza and what's happening on Twitter? Share below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
Adios.